GM, and welcome Toady Hawk, who's going to be filling in today for the vacationing Adrienne. And Toady Hawk, I just have to show you this one thing. I did have on my super based hoodie, and the problem is that when I wear it, I turn green. I turn green, so I can't wear it.
I also brought this,
and I brought this one. So we're gonna have some fun. It's gonna be a little nounish. It's gonna be a little yellow. It's not gonna be green. And get ready, everyone, because here we go. We'll see you on the flip side. Welcome to GM Farcaster, bringing you everything from breaking news to spicy memes to the deep lore shaping this vibrant digital community. More than just a show, GM Farcaster is your digital third space where the community connects, the stories unfold, and the culture thrives. Whether you're a daily caster or just dropping by, we've got the latest buzz to keep you plugged in. So grab your coffee and let's dive in with your hosts, Nounish Prof and Adrienne, for another episode of GM Farcaster. GM Farcaster, you are here for 29 minutes of Farcaster news to start your day, and it is Wednesday, January 22nd. This is not Notadrienne.eth, aka Toady Hawk, and he's going to be joining me as a co-host today. Very excited to have you here. Welcome, Toady Hawk, to the show, friend of the pod. Been around for a while.
Happy New Year. This is my first time on GM Farcaster 2025. Yeah.
That's true. You made it 22 days before we got you on. Not bad.
This is my first time also during the Trump presidency.
The Gulf of America looks beautiful today.
That's right.
Yeah, that's where I live. It's a little cold, actually. It's snowing along the Gulf of America today.
You know what? Ever since they changed the name to Gulf of America, it's just been so cold.
It's been ridiculously cold. It's literally snowing around a place that doesn't get snow. Yes. Just saying. Hell is freezing over. Whatever. Carry on. Keep playing on that Titanic. It's fine. But there's good things happening too. So let's dive in. We got some really, really good things happening. But we're going to start with this really funny summary from It's Basil. 21 days in, Vitalik, a Milady, Trump, a soul extractor, Melania, the Hamburglar, .eth's capitulating, Solana crashing, Coinbase aware of the issues, Wake, a MAGA dad e-girl. I still don't know what's going on with Wake. Dan, a newly found man of coin, the timeline in shambles, recovery imminent, and a similar scenario from Afro Chicks, but complete with meme. Why is Wake a baddie? Why is the timeline full of baby pictures? What is Yo? What did ETH do? What is happening? I think I will film some workouts again tomorrow to bring a little balance, and we'll appreciate that very much, Afro Chicks. So that sums up the past couple days.
Yeah, so we can go home now. Our job is done.
We're done.
Thanks for tuning in to another riveting GM Farcaster.
That's it. We're done. No, we got a couple more things. Okay. But also Dan weighed in with the yoink, yoink, Farcaster and blobs meme. We did talk about Yo the other day. We still don't know why we're doing it, but we're doing it.
I mean, many such cases.
Many such cases. We do many things that I still don't know why I yoink, but I do. This is the big news. First photo of Ross free. And this is Ross Ulbricht. Is that how you pronounce his last name?
I don't think I ever said it out loud. But
yeah, I don't think I have either. The Silk Road founder who has been pardoned, and I guess I probably commuted as well. Like they commute the sentence and then pardon. So this was from Donald Trump. I just called the mother of Ross William Ulbricht. Ulbricht? I thought it was Ehrlich. I think that's wrong. To let her know that in honor of her and the libertarian movement, which supported me so strongly, it was my pleasure to have just signed a full and unconditional pardon of her son, Ross. The scum that worked to convict him. Oh, we'll leave out the rest of that. But we'll just skip over the best. But there's a lot of feelings happening on the timeline about this. So I want to share this from Matthew B. Seeing some disappointing takes re Ross on the timeline. In my opinion, his sentencing was unusually harsh. In order to make an example of him, 2 life sentences plus 40 year with no possibility of parole is extraordinarily harsh. Don't think he was perfect by any means, but he has served 11 years already and has demonstrated genuine remorse. Glad to see him released. That was from Matthew B. And then we had this from Oxen, which was a little different. If Ross looked like this instead of this, he'd still be in jail right now. Dude tried to have multiple people killed. There's chat logs. It's on the blockchain. Some of those people weren't real. At least one was. Either way, this MO just after 18 months of being the Dread Pirate Roberts, that crazy that people cheer him on. Okay. 2 very different takes.
Yeah.
My take from a legal perspective is this sentence was harsh. Period. Like, so regardless,
he was never convicted on the murder charges, right?
Exactly.
So I don't know if I haven't done the research to find out if he really did try to do that or not, but some people have said it was fully entrapment. Anyway,
there were some issues with the FBI agents who later were found to have stolen some of the Bitcoin that was recovered, and so there's a lot of who knows. There's a lot
when Netflix movie. That's what I want to know.
Real. Like we definitely need a Netflix. We definitely need the movie. That would be very interesting. But
it's probably gonna be released tomorrow. Netflix is always on the game with this type of stuff.
Oh, it's already done.
Free Ross is probably on there right now, or Ross free.
It's gonna be the suggestion after Don't Die.
Maybe after
more
Squid
like
Game.
This. Yeah, more like this.
After Squid Game, you might enjoy Ross freed.
Ross. So yeah, I think
after Friends, you might enjoy it. No.
After Friends, yeah, after Friends. So I think like I get the sentiment, and I get people, feeling like, maybe this was that they sentence wasn't harsh or what, but I think there's a lot. For what he was convicted of, that was an extraordinarily harsh sentence. So I do think that this was justice, and also, from everything I've seen, and we never know what's in a person's heart for real, but from everything I've seen in terms of tweets and things like that over the years, he does seem to have, genuine remorse. I think depends on how you look at our justice system. If you look at prison as an opportunity for someone to turn things around and have a second chance, then this is a perfect example of that. If you look at it as punishment, then you might have a different view. So I look at it more as like, yes, there need to be consequences for illegal activity, but also give people a chance who deserve one. So that's kind of my feeling on that. And I'd say that about any kind of like nonviolent type of, fraud, things like that. So
what do you think he's going to do? Is he going to like spin up Silk Road Part 2?
I don't think so. No, I don't think he's going to do anything like that. I think he's going to, for probably a couple of weeks, just chill with his family. Like, I don't think his mother's going to let him out of her sight.
Did you see that the old Bitcoin wallet that like surfaced activity right after he was released from prison?
No, seriously?
I posted it in our chat, but it was
that's
like
wild.
A very long inactive Bitcoin wallet that just like popped up on the radar. Curious.
It's curious, but it could be somebody. It could even just be somebody trolling.
I don't remember when it happened or how much time he would have had. Like, he got raided and arrested and probably never had a chance to prepare, or did he have time?
Yeah.
To like?
No, I think it was very sudden. Yeah, it was very sudden when he was arrested. So I don't know that he had time to sock anything away or anything. I don't know, but who knows? Who knows? But he was, I think there was it was very quick and fast. And he's been in jail. I think it's been 12 years, I believe. So, that's
because if you're in prison like that, and say you have like a seed phrase story at home, and you want to tell your significant other where it is to make sure it's safe. How do you even do that?
I know
from the prison without alerting the authorities, right? You just give them a separate word every day, every time you eat. Fish.
Darling. Today, the word of the day is. I don't know. That's a great point. Maybe. I don't know. All right, moving on. We got a few more things, and then we have a very special guest coming up. So whatever your thoughts are on this, lots of opportunity to talk about it on the timeline. Also currently happening, lots of discussions about Ethereum and the Ethereum Foundation. This meme from Nonlinear was in response to a quote-cast from DWR. The way to increase the price of Ethereum is to build and use apps on Ethereum. And then we've got the midwit meme, build and use apps on Ethereum, build and use apps on Ethereum, hire a CMO, keep the pressure on, remove the .eth name, FUD on socials. In other words, this might be not the most productive way for Ethereum to go up. So this from Linda, the Ethereum Foundation making concrete changes and being more vocal about their plans based on community feedback makes me really optimistic. Yes, it's a decentralized ecosystem and we should all be doing what we can, but it's undeniable the EF has significant resources and reach, so their work can certainly boost everyone else's efforts, especially app builders in the space trying to onboard new users and further use cases in Ethereum. What I'm doing personally to support, been building a company BountyCast for the past year, enabling more people to get paid out in crypto globally for their work. We self-funded, I'm not taking a personal salary. Worked on the Ethereum film documentary, which by the way, if you haven't seen that, go watch it. The past 3 years with its mainstream distribution this year. I declined any compensation. So I think what Linda is saying there, the way I take that is, ask not what the Ethereum Foundation can do for you. Ask what you can do for the Ethereum Foundation. What's your take, Tody, on all this?
My take on this is that I think there's echoes throughout Ethereum. Nouns is another example. Coinbase is another example where organizations, DAOs, movements that try to be cautious because of regulatory concerns are sometimes punished. I think that you're seeing that with Coinbase, having been very cautious throughout the previous administration. On the one hand, they're still around and Binance is not operating anymore in America and FTX is clearly not, around anymore. So there are obvious benefits of doing that playbook. But then when you come into a different, more favorable regulatory environment, like hopefully we are now, it can maybe feel like suddenly like you're all behind. You're behind the degens, you're behind Solana that really has been sort of playing it more off the cuff, et cetera, and other exchanges that might also be doing that. So, and Nouns, I think, is another great example where like we've gone through so much trouble to do everything by the book and like to be the first Duna, and then like as we're finalizing our Duna, the president of the United States launches a meme coin, right? So it's like you can't win for trying sometimes. But
there was a lot of controversy when Nouns was talking about $ nouns. And dollar sign nuggles, and there still is, and there's still a lot of different feelings on that and what that should be or should it be and all that, and it's exactly for these reasons. So
and I think the EF is that too. Like if you look at it and you say, okay, like the Ethereum Foundation now is sending 50,000 ETH, to a wallet, to a safe to use for DeFi. It's like, that's amazing. That's a lot of ETH. It's great that they're going to use their own ecosystem. But then on the other hand, you're like, what the hell? Like the EF hasn't been doing any DeFi?
That was my exact thought. I'm like, what? They haven't been doing anything up till now? Like, why aren't they using all the things? Like,
they were really worried. Like, it sounds like internally, like they were really spooked by like some of the Wells notices that they received, and they were worried that they might, they might be a target of those types of actions. And so you kind of get it, but it definitely does take its toll on, like, if you're not being forward and aggressive with your activity, then you are going to sort of lose some ground to people who are playing more fast and loose with the letter of the law. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that it's going to be interesting to see. We had some other news, which I forgot to pull. The new crypto regulatory task force through the SEC, which is going to be headed by my favorite Hester Peirce. Yep, very excited for that. And then also Mark, and I cannot pronounce his last name, Yavida is the one who was the other crypto reasonable friendly person on the SEC over the past administration, is now going to be the chair. So all of these things, sound like we're heading in the right direction. So we got to pivot a little bit. We got to adjust. But I was surprised that, like, why isn't the EF, like, are they using all the things? Like, they should be using all the things, whether that's DeFi, whether that's apps, whether it's NFTs, like, I don't really care for Vitalik's choice of PFP, but honestly, they should have been rotating through
like what Jesse did, earlier this month, and that that was basically Kobe. Kobe had a tweet about that. He was like, if I was, trying to reform the EF, one thing I would do is make sure that every single employee is familiar with how to do things on chain. I think specifically he said make sure they go and like make money on chain, like make a profitable trade on chain, and come back and tell me what you learned, because you have to use the apps, you got to use the chain and know what it is that you're trying to do,
to encourage, right? And and how do you encourage all this? And exactly. So
having said all this, I've really been enjoying wartime Vitalik, though. Aside from the
wartime Vitalik is something. Let me tell you, he's something to see. But anytime you want to rotate into another PFP, we're ready for you. Nouns is an easy one. Everyone can choose their own PFP. They can just make it on the playground. And
I think
Vitalik, we have a great noun for you if you'd like us to do it.
Changing to a noun would have been great for us, of course, and I think it would have, like, nouns does uphold a lot of the first principles of Ethereum. However, I do think that like switching to the Milady was a very specific choice to appeal to, the devs and to people who who make
a little more the degens.
Yeah, degen dev sort of.
I mean, I would assume that there'll be a pudgy moment, there'll be a CryptoPunks moment. They can go through all of them, and I do think they should. I really do. I think they should. Anything that is currently building and reaching an audience, they should be rotating through. So
maybe you can buy a punk for a cent from
apparently they're free. Literally free.
Oof.
That also happened yesterday. Somebody got their punk taken for a penny. I
don't want to dunk. That really sucks.
I know, that really sucks. Really sucks. It did make me go back to revoke cash and make sure I didn't have anything hanging out there.
You don't want to lose your punks, prof.
I don't want to lose my punks. I'm very, very partial to my punks. I have no punks, just to be clear. For those who think we're serious.
In her doxed wallet, she doesn't have.
In my doxed wallet. So we had a little situation the other day. This was right after, I think, our show, so we didn't get to talk about it then. Earlier this morning, Dan Finlay's account posted a message about a token. This message wasn't posted by Dan, and we've been looking into what may have happened. Okay, so this is the follow-up from V. After further investigation with Dan Finlay and team, it appears that the compromise was due to a registrar that has locked up the email domain. It appears to have only affected this one account. Some more details in the thread and what we're doing next. If you sign up using Warpcast, we allow you to log in on web if you can prove access to your email address. This is for convenience, so you don't have to scan the QR code with the phone every time. This makes it possible to get access to post on behalf of your account if you've compromised someone's email and they use Warpcast. It does not give you full control over the Farcaster account itself, but you can at least post from it temporarily. We're going to ship some features this week to make it easier for users to protect themselves against compromise. Stay tuned for details. That was a crazy thing. Like, I was like, what is going on right now?
I knew it was a scam immediately. It had a lot of the markers of a scam.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just familiarize yourself with how these scammers talk, and you'll save yourself from a lot of things. But I don't know, like this feature, Dan's constantly being like a butcher when it comes to features. Like if it's not being used, he'll cut it. Like the NFT tab, some people were upset that he removed it, and his response was like, "Hey, I have the data. Nobody's using it. Very few people were using it." This feels like the kind of feature that I'm surprised people were using. Like, who doesn't have their phone with them when they're trying to log in on web? Like, is it that common? Maybe. I seems to me like a feature.
Some people didn't want to use their phone at all. So some people like to keep their crypto on their laptop. I know a couple people who that was one of the reasons they didn't want to use Warpcast when it was mobile. You had to have your phone had to be part of the scenario, and they just didn't want to. So there could be a situation like that.
I see.
But also, MetaMask doesn't work great on mobile, so that might be why. Anyway,
no, it's true. I haven't used the Fox app on my phone in a few years, just because it stopped working. Honestly.
I gave up. Yeah, I gave up. I just use it on. I do use the Fox app, but I do use it on my computer. Couple more things. This is from Woj. We just canceled all recurring billing on Super. If you don't want your membership to run out, trust me, you don't, go to super.sc/settings and extend your membership ahead manually. We will be sending Warpcast DM notifications and soon emails 5 days and 1 day before your membership expires. Share with a super friend. So this is the full revamp of Supercast to Super. And there's a lot going on. He's adding a wallet. There's a whole bunch of things. So if you are interested, you can now get a free Super account, but then also there are some paid ones that have some additional benefits. So go check that out. I have to go, now that he did this, I do have to go extend my membership also. It was funny. He was sharing the leaderboards of the people who have extended their memberships who have paid. And for a while, I forget who was at the top of it, but it wasn't Yes to Crypto. And I'm like, waiting. I'm just waiting. And then, it was Wake. Wake was at the top. It was like 4 years or something. And then Yes to Crypto, came in. So he's there now.
He's never met a leaderboard he didn't love.
Exactly. I mean, one way to get him to use your product is make sure it has a leaderboard.
We need a yellow collective leaderboard. Get Yes to Crypto bidding.
A leaderboard of leaders. A leaderboard of leaderboards would be interesting as well.
Leaderboard. Hey, dog. Hey, dog. We heard you like leaderboards.
We heard you like leaderboards. How about this? This from Sloke. After 2 days of playing Yapster, some of the most fun I've had with a crypto app. Good work, Salvino and Amir Bolas and team. And he's showing his winnings from playing Yapster, and it's kind of impressive there.
I want to show you. I want to show you some cope here. Hold on.
Let's see your winnings.
No, I haven't gotten in. I haven't gotten into a game yet, but I want to show you this. I want to show you this. Can you see this?
Yes, we can see that. That is the meme. Yes,
it says Zuck.
Yes.
Okay, and it was I called my meme Zuck around and find out, and you can see that error.
Yes.
Unable to add meme. My meme was the same meme that
was the same meme that won him. That won him all that money.
Yeah. Fuck you,
Sloke. Sloke.
Cope.
Oh, that's so funny.
It's fun. I didn't get into the first two games, but I will be playing the one today. It's an interesting mechanic. I think people have been talking about it being like a pump.fun competitor. I actually don't know if that's the case. I think it's
doesn't seem accurate.
It's more like a skill game. It's a skill game with a prize pool that is like auto-generated by the trading activity. So it is like novel, but until one of these daily tokens sort of breaks out and like becomes a token with its own life, then I don't see it as like a launch pad. So the first token that the app launched was called Yapster, but it wasn't an official token. So the app is called Yapster, and the way it works is like everybody submits their meme, and then you vote on, if you're in the game, you vote on which one you like best, and at the end you get a score based on your creator score based on the meme you made, and then a player score for how well you chose the winners, and then that's how you win your prize pool of the tokens, and then you can sell them or hodl them or whatever on the free market once
pretty much everyone's like just trying to sell as quick as possible a little PvP.
Yeah, that has been the case, but except for Yapster, because people have basically taken that first token as like a proxy for the app. But the interesting thing is, like, when that one won, Salvino tweeted and he said, "Of course you guys would make that token," so implying that he was like annoyed.
He had a plan.
Made a Yapster token. But two things on that. First of all, Salvino, love you, but I mean, they must have known someone was going to do that, right? Like that's the meta. Yeah. People are constantly trying to
make
your token for you. So you either got to beat them to it or embrace it. And so I don't know what they did, but like they did not tweet the CA for that first for that first token for like 2 hours, because a few of us were like watching it. We're like, why are they not tweeting the CA? Like, of course, we're like down bad. And we're like, why are they not tweeting the CA? And they didn't, but like 2 hours later, they finally did. And so I feel like, I mean, this is total speculation, but I feel like Salvino and team were like scrambling a bit to be like, well, fuck us. Like someone created.
Already did it. Yeah.
What do we do? Do we just embrace it? Do we? Yeah. I feel like they might have embraced it, and certainly the market seems to be treating it that way. It's back up to like 12 million last time I checked. So I think people are using it right now as a proxy for the game, and it's got a lot of excitement. But the daily coins, like I haven't checked yesterday's, but it was called Yappy or something.
Yeah,
and
it was yappy.
Like you said, there was a lot of sell pressure out the door, a little pump, but then it kind of got sold off. And I think that's going to be hard. It's going to be an interesting dynamic for them to figure out, because if you're in the game and you got all these free tokens, you're going to want to, there's a PvP element of like game theory of wanting to dump them before everyone else. And
absolutely.
If you're someone like me yesterday who missed out on the game, and then like I bought some Yappy like as soon as the CA went up, and I still got wrecked because it just basically went straight down. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if any of these coins can be.
I have to say the design. Oh, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. No, you're not.
No,
it's really well designed.
It's
so
nice.
I will say that Silvino does create great apps. They are very well designed.
Very
the
good.
UX is great.
The same was true of Scoop. Scoop, the last app that he had last
Scoop
cycle.
had a great design. Yeah, it had a great design. But it had limited use cases. Essentially, it just eventually people are going to get bored. This
one, like one of those
feels very different. This one feels very different. Yeah,
it was like one of those bonding curve things that there were a lot of them at the time, and maybe there was a little bit of fatigue on that.
Yeah, it was whatever that one was. Friends, what the heck was that? Friendster? Not Friendster. What the heck was it? Friendtech. I was blanking. I blanked.
Friendster's going a little far back.
PTSD. Woo! Couldn't remember Friendtech.
Friendtech, and then of course there was like Alpha Friends.
Yeah, that's still around. That's still kicking. All right, we got to move on from this. I'm going to try to get into the Yapster game today. I don't know if I got in. There was like a note when I signed up, and I thought I hit it, but I'm not sure. And now it says false. So who knows?
By the way, that 14K he said was all generated from the game so far.
Amazing.
He said it was an empty wallet. So
amazing. This from me. This is the leaderboard. As we ended last week, I was so close. I just needed to drop one spot. It's very sad. I was at 68. I was
69 at one point too. Actually, I posted about it when I was, but I think I lost a few. I ended up at 99 or something.
What's really cool is that Crypto Citizens is number 3.
Yeah.
So I think and for a while, for most of the time, they were number 1. And that was the first anon.world account, which is a way for you to anonymously post within a community via using the anon tech. And that was the first time we've seen
the first non-anoncast.
Yeah,
non-anoncast.
Non-anoncast, exactly. So that's impressive. And then right now, when I look at the leaderboard, it's ETHcast that's at the top. Nice. So ETHcast, so Vitalik had kind of shouted out this message on Twitter, like it would be really cool if there was a ZK way for people to post anonymously about Ethereum if they held Ethereum. And I'm like, I think you can do that on Anon World. And then
he actually name dropped a Anoncast in that tweet. And then Sloke basically
went and said,
replied,
yeah,
actually it's non-world now, and you can totally do that. So
yeah.
And in typical fashion, shipped it in like 2 hours, 3 hours.
Yeah. So it's there. So if you're holding, I think if it's smaller, if you're on Warpcast, if you're doing it, it's like 0.2 ETH you need in your wallet. And if you're on Twitter, it's 2 ETH, but you can post anonymously to ETHcast, which is pretty cool.
And he said he's going to be adding liquid tokens as well. So you'll be able to verify with LSTs like, like Lido or Rocket Pool ETH, which is cool.
Very cool. And then this was from CJ, and this was also retweeted by Dan on Twitter. I was an Instagram content creator from 2017 to 2022. It took me 2 years to build a following of 10K and another 3 to get to 20K. During that time, I earned $200 per paid campaign. I think I did less than 5. I received some perks, multiple mini fridges, lots of craft beer. By the way, she was a craft beer influencer. Plenty of junk. My audience was also crowdfunded a hot tub, partly as a joke, but still a huge win and funny. Yes, it is. I've been posting for like 2 weeks on Warpcast, and I've already seen greater rewards for less effort. I'd say keep Warpcast a secret, but I can't stop telling people about it. So she was at the very top of the leaderboard the week before, and then was number 23 this week. So impressive. If you don't know,
when hot tub airdrop, that's what I want to know.
I know, right? $sign hot tub siege. For those you don't know, that's the personal account of me on base. So same person, the Magic Eden intern. That is her.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and she's, if you ever meet her in person, she is just lovely. She is lovely. Lastly, we had this last little meta that popped up over the past few days. Post a picture from a different era. And this was a mega thread that Brad Q put together and saved my life today. So I appreciate you, Brad Q, because it has all the
I did not recognize Dan, like Lord of the Rings Dan there. I did not.
Totally did not recognize Dan at all. It was this thread. Here we go. And then we have Ted, which is great. I totally could see Ted in there. You've got TLDR.
TLDR playing beer pong is just so perfect.
It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. This from Horsefacts, adorable. This from Phil looks the same.
Phil.
Damn Phil.
You got me questioning.
Have you ever seen Phil was working out in jeans and posting like videos of it on the timeline? He was like the time it was a lot. Like there was a lot of men questioning their sexuality. This for Matthew. Yeah. This for Adrienne. Little Adrienne there. Non-linear, going all hunting. I don't know. DF. We got Kojo, adorable. Pifista.
That's a cool photo, by the way.
Kenny.
Kenny looks like he.
And there I am. And then me and my little one there. And then I think you're right. You're right near me. There you are.
Oh,
and that is you look so young. And I'm like, I don't think this was that long ago.
What happened? It's like 8 years ago. 8 years ago.
All right, that was a while ago. Amazing. But this has been really fun. My first one that I posted was this, because this is my PFP before it was noggled. And then I changed it up. And then lastly, we were trying to figure out who started it. And apparently it was found on Boy by Pivista, Bitfloor's Ghost. So it was Bitfloor's Ghost who did that. Yeah. And
what school did he go to? That looks like
and it was a very high school. This is high school yearbook situation.
But no, we didn't work. It must have been a private school then. We didn't have
we did that. We did that public school here.
Really?
Yeah, you'd go for a special day. Like you go to it'd be like a whole special day, and all the guys wore suits, and always.
For us, it was like you were lucky if your kid was wearing clothes when you went for a picture.
Not for your senior picture. Senior picture was always a big deal for sure. This feels like my same era, by the way, with the black and white. I feel like he's probably about my age, or not much younger. Looks very similar to like
BFG.
My type of yearbook.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say something else.
No,
your type of guy.
My type of guy too. Yeah, that too. Looks kind of similar to every guy I've dated in high school. Yeah, pretty much.
BFG Prof Love Connection live on GM Farcaster.
There we go. This from Toady Hawk. And this is we're gonna bring in our other guest in just a second here. The idea behind redacted Gadoopy, I think that's how we say that, was simple. You can't even pronounce the ticker without feeling stupid. I love it. This week on Zeropod, Farcaster legend yonfrula joins me to talk about how his art clanker Gadoopy was born from a DWR bounty and tells us all about his winding journey as a very on-chain artist. Watch and collect the full episode for free on Base using the pods frame below. So
there's also a boost on there right now. There's a clanker boost. They're a sponsor for the month, and so you can get back.
Awesome.
I don't know, like most of it, like 80% of the pods fee.
Amazing. So go collect and check out this frame. So we got to bring Dan up to the stage. So I'm going to shift here for a second, and then we'll go back and show you that again. Dan Simmons, known as Simmons, at Simmons on the timeline on Warpcast and Farcaster, and from the pods.media crew. Welcome, GM Dan. How are you?
GM, doing well. How are you guys?
Good. So glad to have you here. So we just shifted over to pods for GM Farcaster. We've been talking about it for literally like a year. I think we talked.
I've been telling her to do it. She wasn't listening to me.
Shut up.
Tony, one of our biggest advocates. Appreciated.
So we wanted to do it early on, but it was only audio only, and we are very video heavy. So like we're showing casts. It was like I couldn't, so we kept with Zora for a while, and then you added video. and it looks amazing. So the way you add a video was that you have the YouTube video that's right in the frame, and you can play it right in the frame and watch it right there, and that, which is amazing. And then you can also then collect it as well. And this frame is fantastic. You've got the leaderboard in there. You've got yes to crypto. You're number 4, I think.
Ooh,
That's
you hate to see it.
Juice. He was the first collector, though. Okay.
Those are rookie numbers.
And then you've got all this other information about the episode, ways to share it more. You got like a little bit of discovery. So you can see more from Zeropod. It is so well done. I just incredible job with this frame. It's so good.
Thank you.
It solves a problem too. It solves a constant problem, and I said this to Dan, that we have as content creators in Warpcast, which is that you want to be able to show your content and also incentivize mints at the same time. And like we were forced into this pigeonhole for a while where you had to basically choose between, am I going to put a clip to like hook people on the content and then follow up with a mint and hope that they're still paying attention? They're not. Or post the pods frame where they can see your nice thumbnail and mint from frame, but they probably won't watch your content. So it's like, fuck, like you shouldn't have to choose between, you know, making fans of your content and getting people to mint your content to collect it.
Exactly.
So this frame is pretty good in my opinion, because people can one click, open it up, and you know, and either watch or collect or do both at the same time. I think you can even like try it, but I think you can actually play the video and then scroll down and mint while you're watching it.
Yeah.
See if that works.
I believe you can. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So you can multitask for you ADHD people.
Right.
So
I appreciate you
that's
saying
good.
that. It's been tricky to find the balance of consumption versus like kind of engagement or collection. We did get some pushback initially, which you guys may have seen.
Yeah.
So, you know,
from
it's
Rand.
work in progress, but
Random
you
arrow.
know, yeah, exactly. And actually, that person followed up with us in DMs, and so actually did provide a lot of useful, relatively constructive feedback. So
that's good.
We've been kind of taking that in and deciding how to move forward, but I think we're pretty happy with where it's at least currently.
I think it's fantastic. Yeah, it's really fantastic.
With the V2 spec, is it impossible to have more than one button on that first frame? Like, is it possible to have some sort of a hybrid between V1 and V2 where you had a button that says view episode and another button that says mint, and the mint button just opens the mint module right away, whereas the view would pop up the V2 frame? Is that a possibility, or is it not built that way?
To my knowledge, it's only the single button. Eric on our team has been more in the weeds on the frame side of things, but I believe that is the current implementation.
That would be cool if you could do some kind of a hybrid like that. I don't know if it's.
I think it's only a one button to open. Yeah, right now. Whereas the other frames, the frames V1, you could have up to 4 buttons. But I think when you're opening up a mini app, there's only basically it's just an open app button.
Maybe there's technical reasons why that's not possible, but it seems like it'd be cool to have that best of both worlds and let the user choose whether they want to do a V1 integration or not integration, but a V1 action or a V2 action would be pretty neat. Give them flexibility.
And I think even just like media or content consumption in a frame is like uncharted territory. I think we're kind of one of the first to try to tackle that. So the Merkle team has been very receptive also to having a dialogue and getting feedback. So I think they're very much thinking about how to handle it. So we'll see where it goes.
I mean, the fact that you can watch a YouTube video right in the frame is still pretty amazing.
It's pretty wild.
You can do that with Paragraph too. Paragraph, when you drop in links to YouTube, it will allow you to watch them right within the frame. So we do have a couple ways of delivering, different content within Farcaster, which I think is pretty cool.
I was going to cast at one point, and I still might. Like, imagine if you could have a YouTube, like a version of YouTube where people could watch your content, and if they're liking it, they could pause it and collect the content to support you. You know, all in the YouTube UI, and it's like, well, they can, and it's called pods.
It's called Pods.
Like, really, like, that's
it's perfect.
Right.
It's really perfect, and I also like that you're getting the views on YouTube because that helps from a creator perspective. It's helping to drive that number and those statistics there. So that's been the challenge for us when we're looking at streaming. And yes, there's some native streaming now on Warpcast, but it's a little tricky to integrate into StreamYard. And then also you lose sort of that focus. So eventually we'll we'll get there. We'll get it figured out. But we've been talking about a V2 app for GM Farcaster that would include the live stream of YouTube. So yeah,
it's something we've been thinking a lot about is the way we position ourselves is kind of it's not instead of, but it's like yes and. So we're probably never going to deliver quite as good of a video experience as a YouTube. So almost like Patreon did back in the day. It's like we're not trying to cannibalize kind of your existing distribution mechanisms. It's like how can we augment that and add additional streams of revenue and opportunities to engage your audience and your collectors.
Yeah, the YouTube embed is interesting because similar to Prof, we resisted moving to pods for the longest time because one of the biggest differentiators of Zeropod was that it was a video podcast. So it's like we wanted to be on chain, and Zora was doing a good job of like helping us to, upload pretty large videos on chain, and so it was working for the first season, but the reality is like we were like, we're not going to move to pods because then people will just be able to listen to it, and that's fine, but like they're going to miss all these visual elements. And then when I can't remember how I found out that you guys were doing the YouTube implementation. I think it was actually in our onboarding call, and you were like, yeah, actually this is brand new. And at first I thought of it as like, okay, well that's a pretty good stopgap measure, until they can allow us to have the videos on chain. And then over time, over the past 4 months, I've started to realize like it's not really a stopgap measure. It is actually better in some ways because it does help you to grow your Web2 following as well, and then cross-pollinate a little bit between your on-chain and your off-chain collectors. So in some ways, it's actually better. Yeah.
Yeah, that you frame it that way because we very much intended for it to be a stopgap for people like Prof. That's
what you told me. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. I guess the more we're thinking about it, and we're kind of like, it is kind of kicking off this flywheel where we're then driving people to YouTube, and so TLDR. We'll see where that evolves.
It's been having a positive uptick on my views for sure on YouTube because we don't really concentrate on Web2 distribution really at all. But we're now driving some of that through our on-chain lean-in, which is great.
And we're hearing that more and more. We did have, or we still do have much more ambitious plans for video, but again, we'll see where it goes. And the name of the game of startups is we have a near infinite number of things we could be working on. So it's all a prioritization game. So we'll see.
Okay, you're getting they said your sound's a little low, Dan, so if you want to move the microphone maybe just a little closer, but I also turned your volume up, so hopefully that's helping.
Testing.
There we go. Lovely. Perfect. Yeah. I wanted to talk about boosts. You mentioned it, Toady. I haven't experimented with this yet. I know this has been super successful for you. Can you talk about Dan, what is a boost? How did it come about? And then Toady, can you talk about your use of it and how you're using that to help your distribution?
Sure. So tell me, is audio good?
You're good. Yeah. Now you're good.
Okay.
Yep.
So Boost is a company as well as kind of like a verb. So it's kind of like the way we started to approach kind of like on-chain sponsorships. So, if Toady has an episode about Gadoopy, maybe in order to engage that community, you could actually use some Gadoopy to incentivize participation and collecting of that episode. So, we'd been experimenting with some of this stuff. I know Adam Levy of Blueprint was kind of pioneered a lot of these ideas, and Toady and Zeropod have been going through that program. So there was layer 3 was a distribution mechanism that we had kind of leaned into, and then also Boost. We ended up building that into the product proper. So natively on pods, you can, it's actually permissionless. So anybody can sponsor a particular episode. So you can add a token incentive, and then by collecting the episode, you can effectively think of it as a rebate. So, if the episode costs $2, then maybe you get 80% of that back in whatever token is being used to sponsor it. So that's kind of the high level. And Toady, I'm sure, can speak to it more.
Yeah, Toady, you have for this episode, I just logged in to make sure I could see it, earn 76% back in Clanker when you collect it. So what does that mean to a collector?
So it just means if you collect that piece, then you immediately get a rebate from boost.xyz for that amount of Clanker, which I think is it says 75% of whatever the cost of the platform fee is. Yeah, it's just
so depending on how many episodes you picked up would depend on what you get back from, and you're getting it back in that token. You're getting it back in Clanker.
Yeah.
So for in this case, but you can do any kind of token. Well, not any, but many different types of tokens.
Yeah, and you can even add and stack them. So it's too bad that I had two boosts on this episode, one in Clanker and one in Gadoopy, and you have to set them up separately on boost.xyz. And I tried to line them up so they would both be like similar amounts of claims, but it just so happens that all of the Gadoopy's been claimed, and there's like five Clanker claims left. So that's why it's only showing Clanker. But yesterday, if you looked, it would have said 80% back in Clanker and Gadoopy.
Oh,
and that's because I was telling Jan about it, and Jan was like, "Oh, I'll donate some Gadoopy then for the boost," which is cool. It's a great way for him to sort of engage. It's really cool for for meme coins in particular and those types of projects, because distribution is always the hard part for them, like getting your coin out to a lot more wallets, and not having like a concentrated ownership is a real existential threat for a lot of meme coins. So it's kind of like a win for them. It's a win for creators because it gives eyeballs on your content and gives people incentive to collect it. It also like helps you to trend. So if you do it, then you get a lot of mints from the boosted content. Then you're trending on pods, and you're trending on mint.fun and other places that people might track things that are happening on chain. So you get, for every 100 mints that you might get through your boost, hopefully you're going to get like a certain percentage of organic people who just see your content and actually watch it. So it's just a really great attention getter, or new customer acquisition strategy. And as Dan said, like, all credit to Adam Levy and the Blueprint program. That was a big emphasis of the program, at least in this cohort. It was like teaching us how to experiment with these different things, and so it's I encourage all creators to mess around with it. It's really, Dan and the team at Pods have made it really easy too. Like, you can do it on the Boost site, and it's a bit more technical, but if you do it on the Pods site for a very simple top up, you click one button and you can boost it, and you can even boost someone else's content, like you said. So I could go in and boost after this episode goes live. I could go and put a boost on it just to get more people to collect.
Ooh, that was going to be my question, because it looked to me, when I look at my dashboard, that somebody else could add a boost besides me, but I wasn't positive. So that is possible.
That is correct.
And that's awesome.
So I was wondering, we're thinking of it like kind of Web3 native sponsorship. And to double click on something that Tody said that I left out of my explanation is it's actually great for the sponsors as well, because they are getting that distribution. And we've seen that, those tokens will proliferate, and oftentimes people will hold those tokens and start participating in those communities. So it actually is like it's beneficial to both parties, both the creator, the collector, and kind of the sponsor. So
just think of your own self. Like, if you're going and you're minting something and you're getting a bonus in a token that maybe you didn't own before, like Gadoopy, are you going to go like run to Uniswap and swap for $2 of USDC or ETH, or are you just going to hold it and see what happens? So it actually kind of creates these hodlers that you might not otherwise get from people who are buying for purely speculative reasons. So that's kind of like the secret sauce of these boosts.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. And I was because we haven't played with this yet. We were going to do it right on our first one, but Cast Out wasn't available, because I was going to use that token first. But this gives us a lot of opportunity when we're working with sponsors to give them another sort of method to promote themselves through this. But I love that anyone can just come in and sponsor the episode. I think that is really cool.
I'm glad you mentioned Cast Out, because that's another element here too that we've been experimenting with, and I was experimenting with this even before Blueprint. Is that I clanked a fan token for Zeropod called $Zeropod, and we were doing some experiments even before Blueprint with doing some boosts in that token. And we also have, like, my partner Jack, who does content with us, has a clanker called Must, and we're going to use that as well to do some boosting. So if you have your own token, your own fan token, it actually makes it even easier, because like you can just kind of like have this this self-referential flywheel where you're giving people these tokens, and
absolutely
so
and a lot of times
all the things
I think it's a great approach, and it's a really interesting approach to encourage the collection of the episode, but also then have another method of promoting a token and things like that feels a little more on chain rather than shouting it on a media platform. So there's just like a different I don't know, feel to it, which I
also
think
helps
really
you just lean into the inherent distribution advantages of ERC20s that NFTs can't really compete with that well. So because all of our content is not like fractionalized, these are just NFTs that you can own, and like there's a really cool supporting people that you love element of buying an NFT that is just purely content, like a patronage side of things. But if you can also bring in like a little bit of speculation, have people sort of feeling like they own a fraction of what you're doing, you can just reach so many more people. You can have 1,000 holders of your token or of your partner's token versus 100 people who collect your NFT or whatever.
I just wanted to point something out. I haven't had a chance to airdrop this one yet. It's already got 28 collectors. So I'm like, oh, that's doing way better than we were doing on a previous platform. So that's pretty good. And I haven't even done any boosting, nothing. So that's probably just coming from the V2 frame. So that's amazing.
Sure.
Also, Toady, I got to point one other thing out. You're going to want to watch this episode from Monday because he is wearing a super based hoodie.
Who is
there
it?
You go. It's Chuck Stock from Farcaster.
Oh, nice. Oh,
yeah.
Shoot.
And we did shout it out at the end. So
I love seeing the super based hoodies in the wild.
Go grab the clip because you could share that around. It's funny because he even pulls it up and
Sick.
He was fine. He didn't turn green.
I got my Farcon.
I saw that. Yeah, the little with the arch.
We might run it back again for Farcon NYC. We'll see.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Awesome. So Dan, what else should people know about pods? Like what should they know in terms of if they want to start their own, for example, and then also just as a collector, what else should they know about jumping onto pods?
Sure. So in terms of starting your own, maybe not a lot of people know this, but we can kind of handle the Web 2 or like the trad part as well as the on-chain native part. So we can kind of behave like a host or a syndicator, like a Anchor or a Transistor or a Libsyn or a Buzzsprout or any of those. So we can handle kind of in the same tool where you're publishing your content on chain. We can push that out to the Spotifys and the Apple Podcasts of the world. So especially for net new podcasts, that's easier to do. Something like 2/3 of our existing creators are coming in with existing podcasts. So part of our focus too is like meeting those creators where they're at and kind of, like I said, being like a yes and. So we'll handle like the on-chain part and kind of leave your existing workflow untouched. So we can pull from your RSS feed and kind of in just 2 clicks allow you to tokenize that and put it on chain.
So simple, ridiculously simple. Couldn't believe it. I was shocked. I was like, I said to Adrienne, I'm like, our whole entire flow just changed and it got so much easier. Because she was doing half of it and I was doing half, and it was like I can just do it now. It's like really easy. Like I just click.
The fact that you can upload directly from
crazy.
You can also load directly from Spotify, which is really cool. Or from RSS.
That's what I mean. Yeah, we just pull it from Spotify because we upload it to Spotify and then we upload it to YouTube. And once those two things are done, it's like you just click the button within pods and it pulls all the information from there. So easy. Like I was really impressed the first time I did it. I'm like, wow.
I have to throw flowers for you guys for the pods team that the tech works really well. Being a power user, I've uncovered a few bugs, but even when I do, you guys are great about helping us walk through it. And also the onboarding is really amazing. Like the actual physical onboarding, the actual onboard flow on the site too of importing your podcast is really easy. So I recommend you check it out if you've got a podcast and you're not on chain yet. What are you doing, bro? What are you doing? You gotta get on chain.
Why aren't you on chain?
In 2025, the president has a meme coin and your podcast isn't on chain.
And your podcast isn't on chain. All in.
DMs are open.
Hello. I
heard
David Sachs.
I heard the next.
Why isn't the next pod on chain?
I heard the next State of the Union address is going to be on pods.media.
You heard it here first.
That's a rumor.
That's the rumor.
Can neither confirm nor deny, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's so funny. But seriously, all in pod. What are you doing? You really should be on chain. So you have no excuses. I do think, I think there's it's been really cool, but also from a perspective of a user, I think your discovery has gotten really good as well. I mean, not right now because pretty much it's all toady. But normally, no, just kidding.
We've kind of outgrown our current homepage, so expect to see a revamp on that soon.
But I love this. I think
I love it. I think it's perfect right now. Don't change it.
Yeah, he loves it. Don't change anything. But I do think I'd love to see maybe some categories and things like that. Of course, it's probably all the same category at this moment. But
we're starting to have non-crypto. We're starting to have non-English. So starting to segment out some of the stuff.
Oh, crypto, non-crypto. There's like two.
By the way, I feel like if All In Pod was going to do an on-chain podcast, it would probably end up like on Solana somewhere, like superpodtrading.com or something. There'll be some like super aggro trading version of pods.media.
But this is pretty cool. Like up here is really cool. You can kind of flow through and see all these different ones here. Like I love the flow of it. I think it's you've come a long way in just a year too. Like I said, we were looking at this a year ago and I was like, okay, I feel like it's going to be a lot of extra work at that point because it was audio only, all these things. And I was like, I don't know, this doesn't make sense. And then just looking at your V2 frame, looking at the changes, you've come so far. It's incredible.
They've made a lot of really good opinionated decisions about the protocol too.
Very
because
smart.
It is a fork of Zora, and Zora obviously made some changes with the way that they treat NFTs recently. Well, I guess it's not that recent now, but like how everything is automatically wrapped into ERC20s. And I actually think it's a cool mechanism. I've used it on some of our other drops for Yellow and for Zero Rights. But for podcasts in particular, this is what I said to Dan and Luke when I first was thinking about switching over to pods, is that I kind of don't want my podcast to be a pod coin or anything like that. Like I want it to just be something that someone can find. If my content's supposed to be evergreen, I want them to be able to find it in a year and be like, oh, this is dope, and collect it to patronize me. And I think that patronage behavior is more likely to be the case of why someone would collect a podcast specifically compared to other pieces of content or art. So I like that, that pods.media has made that decision to not upgrade to the most recent Zora protocol, because what they have is working best for their users, which is good.
And for those who don't know, like once it becomes an ERC20, you can no longer collect it. It doesn't stay open forever or for any
you can collect it time. But I mean, it's limited.
Secondary, like you can't like just continue to mint it. And I didn't care for that. There were some changes too recently that just didn't work for art for what we're doing. Was great, but the fact that you guys made that move to just fork it and then make it your own and add the features that we needed, I think is such a better fit. We always want to be on chain. Like, that's been one of our core values for GM Farcaster from day one, was to be on chain as much, move as much of our process to on chain. And this definitely helps with that tremendously. So appreciate you. It's just a love fest today. That's all. It's just a big old love fest for pods.
This is great.
Now I've made a list of some of my grievances. No.
Okay. Well, like you said, poor Toady. I mean, he's continually pushing the bounds and finding the edge cases that we didn't know were there. So I think he's encountered more bugs than anybody else.
The funniest one is that with the Blueprint program, we have to have our episodes in by Sunday night so that they can get ready for their drops for the week and whatnot. But we're not actually releasing until Tuesday. So I had this thing where I had to have the Spotify and the YouTube done in order to upload them to pods.media, in time. But then I realized a couple of weeks ago, I was like, well, I could just put up a placeholder. I'll make the thumbnail, and then that gives me a little bit more time to finish things on Sunday and Monday. So I did that, but then I was finishing up the final pod edit late on Monday night, and then I went to upload it. It wouldn't work. I'm like, shit. And I'm messaging Dan on Warpcast at midnight. I'm like, I'm going to bed, but
I need this up right now
before 9 a.m. And anyway, they figured it out for me.
That was a little bit of a scramble.
That's funny. Your list of grievances, I was thinking the same thing, Meta David. Because I did launch a Festivus token. So your list of grievances, you're going to have to hold them until December 23rd. And Toady, I will send you some Festivus tokens there for your list of grievances and your feats of strength. So amazing. What else should we know? Is there anything new coming? Is there anything else you want us to know that's coming up, Dan?
Yeah, we actually just got back from an offsite where we were kind of prioritizing for 2025, and we're cooking on a lot of stuff, so a lot to be excited about.
Okay. Alpha? Any alpha?
We could always be doing a better job on discovery and distribution. But I think, our number one focus for this year is doubling and tripling down on the why collect question. So helping creators deliver value to collectors and kind of creating that two-way value exchange. So
awesome.
Is that via collaborations or via new integrations or both?
Some combination of both. It's maybe like a TLDR is like, how can we turn everybody into a Toady Hawk? So you're like the onus.
I wouldn't recommend it.
This is not a good idea.
The onus
now you lost me. I'm just kidding.
The design space is like near infinite, but the onus is kind of on the creator right now to like design some of these incentives and games and stuff. So it's like, how can we lower the bar on enabling those like integrations or mechanisms for creators? Because we've seen kind of the top 10, 20% of creators will on their own hustle like you guys have been doing. But then there's kind of like the 80% who kind of just expect to put their content on chain and make money.
Yeah.
And so
if you build it, they will come, and no, that's not the way it works.
Yeah.
They will not.
How can we lower the bar, the price of admission for some of those types of creators is definitely something we're thinking about. And so Prof, your alpha, maybe one of the soonest things we'll be rolling out is we're starting to have a lot of content on the platform. I think we're up to like 3,000 episodes. And so you kind of have these, you have the individual podcast level, but we're starting to, see the same topic pop up across creators. So you kind of have this cross-cutting content. So how can we start to facilitate some of these communities that are emerging, like a Gadoopy or a Hire or a Moxie or a Degen? And how can we surface that content in a place that's discoverable for people that are looking to learn more about that community? So
that'd be great.
I love what Daylight's doing.
Yeah.
In terms of wallet discovery. That's cool.
That'd be great.
One thing I just had this idea as I was thinking about your homepage, but it might be kind of cool if you guys made sort of like a curated feed on YouTube and Spotify where you like highlighted with permission podcasts that are doing well on your platform, and then maybe people could just subscribe to like the best of pods Spotify playlist, and you'd hear Zeropod one week, or Not a Cartel, or GM Farcaster, or Mint, or all these new podcasts. Like I would definitely subscribe to that.
Yeah, 100%. We're thinking about some essentially like content collections or playlists that we can assemble like that. That would be pretty low hanging fruit for sure. Actually, not a lot of people know this. Each collector has their own feed, so we generate for them an RSS feed. So if I wanted to follow everything that Prof is collecting, I can add that to my podcast player, and everything that she collects will automatically appear in my player. We don't advertise that very well.
That's cool. Be careful what you collect.
Yeah.
Follow you.
Yeah. Just like careful.
We,
don't copy trade me, except my content's pretty good. So yeah, you can copy.
I've actually been copy trading both of you.
You can copy trade that. You can copy trade our contents.
Don't copy trade me.
We did just have our first NSFW creator. So
okay.
For a podcast?
Like, yeah.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
Oh, that's terrible. But where? No.
But where? What's the name?
If I want it,
Are they cute? One thing I was just thinking about, we were talking about this actually earlier this week too, is how do we start to support other creators who are in our network? How do we get things so that somebody watching GM Farcaster gets a recommendation to go check out the Gadoopy podcast with Toady, because we know how Jan is so integrated in Farcaster, things like that. And I'm not sure we've dialed that in enough yet. So any help there, I think, is great, so that we start to see those cross promotion type of things in a way that's easy, like that we don't have to think about as much. Would be fantastic. Yeah,
that's some great feedback.
I'd love to see
very
that.
Receptive to it, so DMs are open.
Like we have, if they have a interview with Dan, it should then recommend this. Hey, this is other interview with Dan that GM Farcaster did, or whatever. So we start to see those cross promotions would be great.
Here's another free idea I just thought of. Did you guys ever watch Stumble Upon? Did you ever use Stumble Upon back in the day? That was
exactly.
one of my favorite sites, especially Stumble Video. I spent many a night just like stumbling through, and it would do such a good job of learning your preferences and like finding random obscure videos on like not just YouTube but other video sites. Anyway, it'd be really cool if we had a site that was like Stumble a Pod, and it would just be like give you like random pods.media.
Oh my God. Videos. I think we might steal that. That's a great idea.
Steal it quick.
CC0.
Is that CC0?
With attribution. No, I'm just kidding. No, but that would be cool.
Or CC BY. That's CC BY.
This episode will be published, and you've got the provenance of that.
Yeah, right. There we go. On chain. It'll be on chain.
Mm-hmm. We've often talked, Prof and I, every time we get onto a pod, it's like a builder stand-up.
Totally. Every time. All right. Anything else before we start to wrap this up? We've been chatting for about a little over an hour. I always go long with you, Toady. Every single time we do something, like it always flows a lot longer than I anticipate. We're just very good yappers. What are you gonna do? Anything else coming, Dan? Anything else people should know? I did want to point out one other thing. The Pods channel on Warpcast. Go check that out. Make sure if you flow through, you'll see them posting different things. There is a starter pack. Also, Pod Squad starter pack. So go check that out. Make sure you're following everybody. It is pinned to the top of the Pods. I'm already following everyone. The Pods channel. So go check that out. Anything else, Dan, that folks should know?
That was actually gonna be my suggestion is go follow our creators. We love getting them out there and getting them some reach. And then, like I said, DMs are open. We love feedback. So whether it's the creator side, the collector side, all of the above, got a great idea. Would love to chat about it.
Also, awesome. I recommend you go to pods.media and just follow like the top 2 podcasts on the homepage.
Just those, not any others.
Good starting point.
For sure.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. And I wanted to just mention one other thing. Look at this adorable cover I was able to make. It is so freaking nounish and yellow. It's very yellow today. Very basic
by the way,
yellow.
It's Yellowversary week, so happy
Yellowversary week. That's right.
We are dropping something today, actually, from Leo Pastel. The first single from his Yellow EP. Let's go.
Heck yeah.
There we go.
So yeah, we've got stuff happening kind of all week long, celebrating 1 year of Yellow Collective. And,
amazing.
So make sure you're following Yellow channel on Farcaster and Based in Yellow on Twitter, so you can catch that drop. It's dropping later this afternoon, and it's got an animation from Sloppy Pencil as well.
Amazing. Yeah, I saw that. It's so good. It's so good.
Proudly rocking my yellow PFP.
Amazing. Yep, I saw that. That's why I was like, oh, great. This is going to look so cute. And it does.
Very nounish.
Very nounish. We got a very nounish, very collectible episode today. This has been amazing. Thank you both. Thank you for filling in, Toady. Notadrienne.eth. Not Adrienne. Still rocking it. Thank you, Dan, and thank you for Pods. It's a fantastic tool, and I'm very excited that we're able to finally make that move. We will be back. Not we. GM Farcaster will be back Friday.
None of us.
None of us will be part of that. Because I won't be either.
Oh, damn.
No, literally, none of us will be here. It'll be Lynx and Naomi. Naomi with 3
Talk about a franchise.
Right. So Naomi and Lynx will be doing a GM Farcaster takeover at 8:30 a.m. on Friday. I'll be hiding in the background. I'm traveling and I can't be on screen, but I'm going to be helping them out. But they're going to be doing the show, so it's going to be fun.
Why do I feel like it's going to be hilarious somehow? It's going to be turn into like stand-up comedy, like a sketch comedy.
Crypto Sapien Humpty says he feels attacked. I'm not sure why. I forget what we said, but we love you, Humpty. Yeah. Also, yellow. Isn't he yellow too? Is he in yellow? I think he is.
I believe so. Yeah.
I think he is.
Yes, he is a yellow fellow. Yeah.
Yeah. When Crypto Sapien GM Farcaster takeover, We will do that. We will do that sometime for sure. Next time we need a takeover. We're going to be doing more of those. We also have the other Naomi, Afrochicks and SwampNet. We're trying to work a takeover with them at some point.
Oh, I thought that's the Naomi you meant, actually.
No, different Naomi. Naomi Three Eyes. I know. So I was trying to specify. So Friday will be fun. Pop on by, and then Adrienne and I will be back next Monday for our regular shenanigans. So until then, friends, we will see you. And with that, I bid you bye-bye.